maybe some questions. Maybe some people that want to ask some questions. Always open for questions.
I had another person come in today and get some information for the Zoom stuff, so.
Oh, really? Hey.
And anyone who comes in physically, if you can have them sign in, I know you know the drill, but I'm just.
Yeah, they can.
So no boxing for December.
By the way, eh? No boxing, eh? What's up with that?
There's water right there. Can you please sign it right there?
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Okay, so,
Okay.
so this is,
Where do we sign?
this one here.
So just put your name and then put yes.
So I don't know how you can do this, but you can blank like that. And the whole side.
I'll try. So I was over to stop, have it at the calendar.
Yeah, the calendar's right there. Yeah. Lady. You're Daniel.
I'm Sam.
Oh, Sam. Okay.
Yeah. Daniel was here the other day.
Yeah. Well, I am Mr. Delaney. Julius, help yourself to water there. There's washrooms right across the hallway there. You go. It's right, there's right across. Over there. Watch. That's what I did.
Have water, I guess. Where do you want to sit?
No, you sit anywhere. All of that to you. It's about you. Good morning. Question.
Kyle,
Kylie's. I guess no interrupting. I got in crap last time.
Hmm?
I said, can I please talk? And say what? Once he starts. So Haley brought me here first time. She said, and then she told Cecile that it was interrupting and it kept interrupting and it wasn't.
Can you say that?
Yeah,
Well, you're supposed to have the question.
yeah, I can use something.
Yeah.
She showed his during the session, he shows us the people in the yard. Then he puts a camera back to the people in the yard.
Yeah, sign in and we're gonna get started here. Who do we have?
Oh, he's this one worker.
Gabriel's here, I'm here.
Do I have to sign in? No, right?
No, you don't have to sign it, no. Just,
You gonna show the camera?
hey, tomorrow, you're asking about distro, we're having a distro tomorrow.
Yeah.
Distribution,
You know how much?
huh? Do I know how much? I don't know.
Here for you.
Sister gave me the number to phone district.
Yeah, that's good.
Eight two two oh. They do.
City
Means what time is it?
what time is, yeah. City deep.
I just call the drum.
Huh?
Drum.
Pokemon.
Tucumán.
This
It's
it's Pokemon,
Tucumán. Okay, that's good.
which means we hit it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the surface of the air as Pokemon. Yeah. And we singing them, eh?
Yeah.
So you say that.
If you know, yeah, like that. But you gotta put a vocal in it. You know, just, hey, you gotta put some vocal.
Oh,
You get me? You know, like, it's, you know, just, hey, hey,
Oh,
hey, hey. You gotta put some vocals in it, you know, you either go low or you can pitch it. Like that.
Okay. Now I know. I thought, yeah.
It's not just a bunch of yelling. You really have to use your vocals. Because it's singing. We're singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just yelling. You know, it's not like the Hollywood stuff. It's vocals
And
right
say
here. You know,
how.
it's
The chiefs and Indians were saying how.
how.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Hollywood. In Blackfoot would just say okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own language.
Mhm.
Here in Canada, they speak Canadian. No, they don't. They speak English, which is the country that, you know, what do they call the colonial country of England.
Yeah.
They don't speak Canadian. They speak English, which is the mother country of it.
So how come they don't taught Blackfoot?
Well, if you look at some of the history of, especially in Canada, it was outlawed, right? Any indigenous language. Give one to Mike. No, what's your name?
Sam.
Huh? Sam.
Yeah.
This is mine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know
okay,
how
I'll be
our
gone.
people.
I'm gone on the 18th.
You know what
I'll
I
be
mean?
here.
Follow.
Yeah. Good to know. So we're going to start here right at 6 o'clock.
I was thinking to say something. I'm going to 18th to January 3rd.
What's that?
I'm going from the 18th to January 3rd.
You want?
Yeah.
Come on, where are you going? Holiday?
Yeah, just to the scenic drive for my sister lives.
Oh. Where's everybody? Gabriel's here. Where's everybody?
Eating
Start.
supper.
What's that?
You're having dinner.
Yeah, they're having supper, yeah. We're recording. Hey,
This one's really long. Tuesday.
what's that? Tuesday, yeah. It's a really long word. The indigenous languages in Canada, there are 57 or 50, yeah, 57 indigenous languages, all different.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And in North America, there's about 500
500.
indigenous language, not just
You
one
see?
language.
You see, indigenous people.
So, you know, the people down east in the Maritimes,
Yeah.
there's indigenous people there, speak a whole different language. Culture is different.
Okay.
You go into the Quebec, Ontario, you know, where the Canadian Shields, there's people there that speak a different language.
Yeah.
You get into the Great Plains, that's what we are,
Yeah.
Plains, indigenous people. And there's different languages all throughout the plains, right? Because the Great Plains, if you look at it, comes from the Rockies,
Mm.
Edmonton, but the Great Plains go all the way down to Texas, right? So we are all the Plains people. So you got the Dakotas into the
Yeah,
Texas
Dakota.
area, Oklahoma,
Yeah.
Kansas, state, all those areas. There's different dialect or different languages. And you get into the woodlands, where the plateau they call them, and they're of course, in the mountain areas, and that's a whole different language, different culture. Hey, Nadine! Yoo-hoo! I just see the top of your head. What are you eating? Share it. No, I bet you were eating. I can hear it. We got a studio audience today. Say hello to Sam and Kara. There they are. Yeah, say okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So we've done quite a few, lots and lot of vocabulary, lots and lots of nouns, and lots of animals, right? When you look at the animals, look at them in a sense that a lot of the language in that are really focused on the the indigenous animals here and that. And we studied the moon, the calendar moons that we have, the 12 calendar moons. A very, it's very important that those animals that we study in that, because they are part of our lunar calendar moons and that. January, well, this moon right now that we are under, we call that December. Blackfoot, the moon that we are under right now is called Misamiku Miatusi, the long night moon. Okay, and we just we're into that moon 7 days ago, right? Last Monday, a week ago. Of course, I don't know what they call the under the farmer's almanac, and I think they call it the bear moon. I just forget. But anyways, but we consistently call it year in and year out for thousands of years. The long night moon. Of course, and it's true, right? At 4 o'clock in some areas, it's dark. And here in southern Alberta, at 4:30, it's already dark, and it's going to be dark here until tomorrow till 8 o'clock. So it's really our measuring system are based on the environment. Our counting systems, of course, how we determine, one season to another, it depends on our animals, right? We look at the animals, we look at the calendar moons and that. And, they say, I asked one time, but how do we know that we are, let's say we're all confused or something like that. We say, what's this moon we're under in that? There is actually a person within the communities and that, and they used to count it as a counting stick. It was a choke cherry or a blueberry wood that they would use, right? So each month, all they would do is make a notch. That's day one. Okay, so that's the beginning of the Misamiku. They make a notch. And okay, the second day, they'll make another notch. 2 days, we're into our calendar moon, and so forth, until the next full moon, and then they would make another stick again, right? And at the beginning, those days and that. So, so how many days are we under the moon of Misamiku? That, count, okay, how many notches? Okay, we're about 4 days. And you start to do our math. Okay, we got, the coldest moon of the 12 moons is actually next moon, which is in January, the coldest of all the moons. And we call that Omksigisum, the old moon, right? And others call it the Katu moon, which is called, sometimes the scarce moon. It all depends on what kind of a year you had. If you were, very, if you worked hard enough throughout, those months and that leading up to the cold and that, it's going to be an old moon. But if there was scarcity in your hunting throughout those, the summer months and that, you're going to have a Katu moon and that, it's very scarce. When I say scarce in that, food, right? Food. Okay, so we're going to do weather reporting. But before I do that, I don't know if my person got this information to you folks. This is the days of the week in our communities. Right here. No, where is it? I took the wrong page up. I got mine. So when I say days of the week, we're gonna do some contrasts. Each of the 3 communities here in Canada, Gaina, Siksika, and of course Pigani, each of us has a word for each day of the week. And we'll go through all of them, okay? And I think we kind of went through them a little bit on last Monday, kind of towards the end of the class and that. But hopefully Did it get you? Did you guys get this paper at all? Was it sent to you through email or no? Check your emails. If not, because Sue's not here today, I have another person that's working the. But let's go. Okay, take a. This is the Gaina. Okay, just omit what's on top there, but just focus on the days of the week, right here. Gaina. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. And it's continuation of Gaina right there. And then right underneath that is the beginning days of the week, Sunday to Saturday. Can you see that? And Siksaga. And we're also going to talk about the seasons, the 4 seasons. Okay, I think we kind of talked about that last week. And that. But we're going to do all the days of the week based on the 3 communities here in Canada. Of course, we have another Blackfoot language speaking community in the Montana, the Blackfoot. We all share the same language. We all understand each other. Quick story. Okay, you know how there's our communities, Siksika, and we all speak the same language, we all understand each other fluently, right? There's maybe a little bit of dialect, to speak. So when I say dialect, in Canada, we all speak English, right? But so does Australia, so does, New Zealand, and so does, of course, the mother country of England, right? But they have different dialects of English in that, right? Well, it's kind of similar to the Blackfoots in that the dialects are a little bit different, but in essence, we speak and we understand each other 100%. There's no say, what was that language in that? It's all the same. Now here's a food for thought. Okay, the Delaney. If you look at in your calendars, the Delaney, who are situated in northern Alberta in areas just almost near the tundras, right? Just before the tundras, and there's a group of people called the Delaney. And there's a group of people in Navajo. They themselves they call them Delaney with that little bit of a glottal Delaney like that. Delaney, Delaney. The same word, and the same word means people, right? It's the same word for each of them and how they describe each other. And they have the same word for stars, and they have the same word for the moon, and they have the same word for the sun. So they think that these 2 people might be related somehow. Like they might have been one group, and they separated, and then they went their separate ways. One into northern Alberta where it's cold and it's probably gets dark at about 3 o'clock, as opposed to the Dene of the Navajo. I sure like to know how they, have the same word for the same environment tonight, right? Okay, just a little food for thought. So let's go to Monday. Monday on Kainai, we say na tuyiksiku. Na tuyiksiku. What does that mean? It means the holy day. Na tuyi means holy. Ksistiku, which is the suffix of the word, means day. Ksistiku. Okay. There is a last name in Kainai to say date chief. Okay. You remember Nina is chief. Okay. Ksistikum Minna, which is a mistranslation of a word that we have for thunder. Ksistiku. Now listen to the ksistiku, the end sound is day. Ksistikum, right, is thunder. Okay. So their names is Ksistikum Minna, which in essence means thunder chief, not necessarily day chief. Okay. So when we're registering that, was ever the interpreter at that time, the thunder chief, Ksistikum Minna, right, went in and said Ksistikum Minna. So this person must have understood that, okay, he's Ksistiku. Day chief is his name is day chief of that. So, they register this person as day chief, but in essence, the real translation of that is thunder chief, which is Ksitsikum. Right? It almost sounds like Ksitsiku. The end part of it is just a little bit different. If you have the ears for it now, you'll understand. Ksitsiku. Oh, okay, day. Ksitsikum. Thunder. Right? Like Thor, the god of thunder. Okay, so in Pikani, lo and behold, Pikani has the same word for their Sunday, which means Natuikstuku, right? So the churches, of course, were a big influence in our days of the week and that, because they came and they established themselves churches, not along along with the churches and that, of course, the residential schools. The residential school on Kainai was built probably in the 1800s, about 1890s or so, into the first St. Paul's School on the northern end of what they call now Old Agency, where I live, Old St. Paul's. And then later on, I think 1909, oh no, I'm going to say 1914, and they built the new St. Paul's, which is where I went to school. So Natuikstuku, that's beginning. Siksika has the same thing, Natuikstuku, right? And of course, their schools, they kind of, you know how we have St. Mary's, which is the Catholic residential school. St. Paul's, of course, is the Anglican. Bigani, their influencers, the schools that they had were St. Cyprian's and St. Aloysius. I'm not too sure which is which in that. St. Cyprian's is the one that's on the southern side of their community, and the St. Aloysius was across the river. It was an old wooden building that burnt down years ago. And the St. Cyprian's, I think that would be the Catholic school in that. So they must have had a strong influence in the community, what was happening at that, right? So every Sunday, everybody, the school, the community, everybody went to church. That seems to be the central part of that day, because we're moving on to, like we're now living in communities, not in camps anymore, but in reserve communities, right? And they're starting to build schools. Now they're starting to build churches and so forth and that. So we all have to go to church. Not to go. Understand, Sunday, holy day, okay? Okay, so let's move on to Tuesday. Now this one here, it's on Monday, we say Isikatuyi Kistiko. Isikatuyi means we rest. And the word Natuyi Kistiko is the suffix word of that. Isikatuyi Kistiko means rest day after the holy day. This is when you rest after the holy day, right? Or people just say the day after the holy day. But Isikatuyi Kistiko is when we rest from the holy day. So they must have had that word implemented in there. Sunday, there must have been a lot of church activities. Not only did you go to church, probably, they probably had to do other stuff. When I say other stuff in that, maybe they had to do some kind of a dinner, they must have had a community dinner at that time. Sunday school for the children, right? In the residential school, we had church, and then we went to Sunday school. Or is it Sunday school, then church? Anyways, yeah. So it's Sakatuigistuko. Let's go to Pikani. What do they have for their? Oh, now this one is still the same as our Monday. It's Sakatuigistuko. If you look at it, the Sakatuigistuko is rest day after the holy day, Pikani. So again, a lot of influence on the churches on that. Okay. Siksika, same thing. So Sunday and Monday in the three communities are exactly the same. Okay? Holy day, rest day after the holy day. Natui Kistiku and Isikatui Kistiku, Monday, which is today. What's today?
Monday.
Yeah, it's Isikatui Kistiku. I know, like, there's not too many people of us speakers that say that, right? I don't hear enough of I don't meet enough of our people say, what's tomorrow? And it's, well, what's today? Tomorrow, by the way, hey, Ian, Nadine, it's distro day. Distro.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna wait till Wednesday to collect mine.
No, I'm gonna go tomorrow early. I'm an elk. I don't have to stand in line like the rest of you.
Yeah, well, my line's
Right
usually
to the
pretty
front.
short.
I get real treatment. Hey, there's an elder. Bring them up to the front. Then I get my distro. Oh, so what to do? Anyways, okay. So let's move on to Tuesday. Tuesday is the most hardest of the days of the week in Blackfoot in Kainai. As we say it like this. Which means 2-day rest after the holy day. Okay, 2 days after the holy day, right? Really long, okay? This is going to be recorded, so these things are going to be on here, and that we'll just continue to say them, properly. Tuesday, that's in Kainai, okay? Let's see what they have in Bikani. Okay, and then Sixiga is, all right. Sixiga and Gana are exactly the same. Really long. 2 days after the holy day or 2-day rest after the holy day. So you can tell both communities in that, right? Sixiga and Gana. So far, 3 days are devoted to the churches, Anglican and the Catholics, right? Something was, very influential in that, on how we determine our days of the week. And somebody will say, well, how did you guys come up with that? Who came up with these words and that? Well, there's a lot of dialogue, right? At the time, when we were put into reservations and that, there was a thing called Oksawat, meaning that there was a lot of visitations. And so these visitations and that, they must have visited. So okay, we're into a new system now. There seemed to be some outside influence on what's happening. They're calling Monday they operate on a 7-day a week. 2 days we rest, and the rest of it was 5 days in that we work and that, right? So that was the system that they were now start living in. They started to understand that, the community living that was old, the calendar systems that we lived under, the moons and that, those things are replaced now by a new calendar, a 12-month calendar with days of the week that have numbers on the calendar all the way up to 30 before they moved on to another calendar. They have 4 seasons, and so do we, right? We have 4 seasons too. So, like those adaptations and that, we had to sort of make vocabulary so that we can adapt to the 7-day a week system, right? But we still have to count our calendar moons and that. So, of course, December would be our long moon month and that, right? December 1st. So, hey, Ian. So we started adapting, understanding that there was a 7-day system of counting, right? So, Bigani, their Tuesday is Istinekstiku. Istinekstiku in Bigani, those are the ones, of course, by in bracket, they're called the Bigani, the Scabby Road people, which means ration day, right? So every Tuesday, there must have been a time with their Indian agents. Every Tuesday is ration day. So the community all got together and that. they would go to the Indian agent and then they would receive their rations for the week. This is sort of a weekly thing, I suppose, eh? Ration day. It's next to go. That was beginning. All right, so let's go on to Wednesday. Now, this one here is very easy for Kaina. Itawano Tsuki. Wednesday means half day. When all businesses, that includes all the merchants, banks, anybody that's within the merchants, that provide a service. I think even the gas stations were shut. I'm not too sure, but there was a time here in Lethbridge, particularly here in Lethbridge, that all merchandise, Sears, the Eaton's, Zellers, all the downtown places that right at noon, they shut down. And I'm not too sure when they moved forward with that, but we still call that half day. Itawano Tsuki, Wednesday. Okay. So Kaina, Monday, not 2 weeks ago. I mean Sunday, not 2 weeks ago. Monday is 2 weeks ago. Tuesday. Oh, this 2 weeks ago. B. Wednesday, Itawano Tsuki, which is the day after tomorrow, after our distro. Okay. So let's go to Picani. And Picani, let's see what they have. Oh, okay. So Tuesday is Tsenekstiku. Is Tsenekstiku. Wednesday in Picani, Iketestinope. Iketestinope, which really means the old ration day. So they must have moved their ration day to Tuesday. So the Wednesday is called Iketestinope, right? Yeah. And then Siksika, their Wednesday is the smokeroos. This word is like a mile long. Wait, hold on. Give me Itomo thing. Oh, it smokes. Okay, so that's why. It's 3 days after the holy day. Okay, there's Joseph, my son. Nukes is 3. This got 2 weeks ago. 3 days after the holy day. No one have to practice that. We don't say that often. So 3-day rest after the holy day. So, oh my goodness. 6 of God. Okay. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 4 days are all related to the churches and that. Not 2 weeks ago. It's 2 weeks ago. That's the way you say. Is 3 days after the holy day. My goodness. So the churches really had a lot of influence in the 6 God days of the week and that, right? They really must have had some church activities in it, or the people who were in charge of the churches had a lot of influence on them, of course, right? You need to go to school. Okay, so we're into Thursday. Gaina, Thursday is what we call Tsenekstiku, which was our ration day in that. But today we call it Iketestinope. Used to be ration day, okay? Tsenekstiku was an old word. Every Thursdays, the people, the communities and that would go to the Indian agents in Old Agency near Fort McLeod, okay, to get their rations for the week. And then, of course, when they cut out the rations, and then Thursday, call it Ika Sinope. Just like the Pigani Wednesdays, Ika Sinope, okay? This is where I kind of think, the community and that when they were establishing Indian agents and that they themselves and that Indian agents must have established certain days, right? That they will allow rations to the people in that. So Thursday in Pigani is, oh, this is different, okay. Thursday in Pigani is Mamiksastigo. Thursday in Pigani. I'm not too sure if this is accurate, but it's I'm just looking at some of my material and that. Thursday in Pigani is fish day. So the residential schools, or there's something that they ate on a Thursday was fish, right? Every Thursdays, of course, both residential schools would eat fish and that. So therefore, Thursdays is called Mamikstuku. Our Thursday is called, that's Gaina, Igaitastinope. Used to be the old ration day, okay? Igaitastinope. And in Siksika, their Thursday is, of course, the same as Gaina, Igaitastinope, old ration day. So, that's a little bit different Thursdays. Gaina and Siksika, Igaitastinope, old ration day. Bigani, fish day, Mamiksastiku. When we eat lots of fish. Okay, Friday, Gaina. Friday in Gaina is called Mamiksastiku, which means fish day, when we eat lots of fish. And I can, when I was at residential school, we did eat fish on Friday. And there was a huge, I'm not too sure what kind of fish it was, but it was huge. It almost covered half of your plate, or almost a bit little, but it looked pretty big. And how you eat that is that you have to pick at it with a fork. They have a little fork like that, right? Because the thing was just full of bone. And the bones of the fish in that were kind of like real small and clear. And by the time you finish eating your fish in that, it'd be like a small little pile of bones after you've eaten your fish in that, right? And for somebody who's had fish for the first time when I was in residential school and I just wanted to pick it up and start eating it like that, right? So no, you don't eat it like that. You're going to choke on the bones. He says, what? Yeah, bones. So you take a little fork and you start chipping away at it, right? And you take out the bones, it slide out, and then I'm not too sure what we ate with it, but there's just this big fish, mamikas to go in that. So when I started learning the days of the week by the speakers and that, you come to understand, oh, okay, I remember that. I remember eating fish Friday at the residential schools. Thursday was probably when they eat fish in Pigani. Now, Pigani, this is kind of in a sense, most reserves, if not all of Canada, they had a permit system back in when they first established communities and that, right? What a permit system is, it's the same idea as a pass, right? In order for those people to leave the communities, their reserves into the towns, they would have to have a permit signed by the Indian agent. And they would sign them, right? And they would be allowed to leave the reserve in that. And on the permit in that, there is a timeline, meaning that, okay, from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock, right? So if you're not back, and the police in the Kikons in the surrounding area, particularly RCMP, they knew of that system and that. They knew well aware of it. So they could just, if they see you walking in the streets and that, they'll just pull you over, grab you. That's what they say in the Kikons are, the people that grab you. So they'll grab this individual and they'll say, where's your permit? Do you have your permit that you're allowed to walk the streets in Leopard? So the person will pull out his permit and it would show it to the RCMP. And okay, and then look at the time. Okay, you're still allowed. You only got a couple more hours and you have to go back. If you were caught in the community and you've exceeded your hours, you can get thrown in. RCMP will grab you. That's what we call them. They grab people in the keycodes. They will grab you, throw you in simply because you're out and about in their community without a permit. That was an old system. When did that end? 1958, a year after I was born. I was born in 1959. So the year after I was born, and that's when they did away with the permit system, right? And a lot of the ranchers, who were adapting to the new system of, now you're going to be ranchers, you're going to be farmers and that. In order for them to sell their product in the cities or in the towns, they would have to first get a permit by the, the Indian agent, sign, okay, you can go sell your product and that's the way you go. There's a very strict system in that. So this background story is why I want to tell you about Friday. Okay. Of course, Friday is Mamikasukus here, right? Fish Day. In Pikani, they have a day Friday is called Inakpummagasuku. Inakpummagasuku means where you buy a little. You go into the cities or the towns in the surround. So my guess is that, the Brockett is situated in the middle of both Fort McLeod and Pincher Creek. But Pincher Creek seems to be the town closest to there, right? So they must have been allowed to purchase very little, right? So they must have given a permit by the Indian agent, say, okay, you can go into town, but you can only buy little stuff, meaning just a small amount of food or whatever you're going to buy, right? So even Indian agents had control of how much you can buy, right? So based on that day of the week, that Friday for Pikani, where you buy a little, right? Because Tigu is the day, right? You buy a little, right? So they really had control over those those people earlier in that, if that was the day of the week, right? So Mamikasukus for both us and then Pikani, totally different, right? They were allowed to go out their community, probably that Friday, to go buy a little, right? Maybe all those other days of the week they weren't allowed to go out, just Fridays, because it's very prominent in their days of the week that day. You can only go to town, but you can only buy so much merchandise in that. So they, amongst themselves, and that it was kind of a weekly ritual. Oh, what days? Oh, we can go to town and buy a little. Interesting, right? When you start to look at the words, when you start to really research the words, and as you begin to understand, the people of the past, right? Some of the daily lives that they had to live in that, right? We had to adapt into a broader community. They say nomadic, in one sense, yeah, there was communities, but we were, also we moved according to the seasons, the calendar moons, right? So Friday, oh boy, Sixaga is different. That see, something to do with that see, no. Oh, that's see, no. That's see,
Synonym.
that's see, no. That's it. Oh, I can't really read Fridays with Sixaga. I wish I had an interpretation on it or not, but it seems to be Datsi Gisino. That's a Gisino. Must be an old Blackfoot word. That's a Gisino. Let me get back to you on that one. That's kind of a different one. This is really neat. Oh, so that's Friday. That's a Gisino. That's a Gisino. That's a Gisino. Wow. Something to do with, because Itsunagastaku is Thursday, their ration day. That's Datsi Gisi. Datsi Gis.
Sin,
Okay, let me just break this down. I should have practiced this one here, right? I thought they were the same as ours. Let me go back to that one. Okay, so let's go to Saturday. Okay, with Ghana, we say Saturday. That means that it's the day before the holy day, or the holy day nears. Okay, so Saturday in Ghana is day, or the holy day nears, or the day before the holy day. Begunit. Theirs is Bummexico. It means where we buy big, where we can buy unlimited. Bummexico. Okay? So their Friday is called Inak Bummexico. You buy a little, right? Saturday in Bigani is Bummexico. Means where we buy, right? Or is unlimited buying and that. There's no control of the Indian agent how much you can buy. So, you know, you got all this money, you can visit all the merchants, you can buy yourself a new pair of shoes, you can buy food, you can buy, you know, something for the house, you know, all these things in that.
closing,
Yeah, you know, it's a free for all spending Saturday, right? For beginning. Phone bank is too good. So it must have been like, oh, it's fun. So we can, you know, just unlimited amount of stuff that we were allowed to buy. So the Indian agents, boy, they must have really determined, right? Really had control of the communities, and that you would have to first go to the Indian agent if you want to go outside. You know, I want to go play some pool in town. Well, you know, no, I don't want. It's not a bad place to go. It's a bad place for you to go. Well, I want to go to town, go watch the rodeo. No, no, no. You know, so they determine your movement, right? The in 1912, when they first had the Calgary Stampede, of course they had a parade, and in that parade, the largest contingent of participants in that parade were the Blackfoot Confederacy. There was just hundreds, if not 1,000, rode through the Calgary Stampede parade. You know who was angry? The Indian agents, because they just kind of just think, oh, you know what, we're going to go participate in the Calgary Stampede. And, you know, the leadership of that time, probably the 1912 here, was probably shot both sides. Not Jim, his dad shot both sides, okay? So he must have said, okay, you know, let's not listen to let's just participate, you know, and show the, you know, the people that were still here. And they rode through the Calgary Stampede in their horses, in their, you know, traditional dress, you know, how they were dressed back in the day, you know, with the animal skins and so forth, the regalias, you know, and the way they went, and they, you know, and after that, they probably started having more control. 1913, I think they had no participants in that. And they wanted to really bring, hey, let's bring the greatest outdoor show on earth in that. Well, you know, the tourists, they didn't want to come to see cowboys swooping it up. They wanted to see the Indians, right? So they started negotiating with, you know, the community. Says, what can they do to promote our stampede and that? Well, we could have a village and we could show off our powwow and stuff like that. So they allowed that. So within the 10-day systems and that, I mean, within that 10 days, they probably were allowed by the Indian agent, signatory, right? Okay, they're going to the stampede from July the 4th to the 14th. And away they went, right? But within that time and that, you know, there's probably Indian agents, RCMP, making sure that these Indians are within the confines where they're supposed to be at, right? Pretty tough, eh? You know, so it just kind of, in a sense, you know, the days of the week indicate a lot of the influencers of our communities, the churches, right? And the Indian agents, right? You know, they were in control of movement, especially like in Bikani, right? Well, you can go buy a little. Saturday, go buy everything that you need and that, right? Yeah, and Saturday in Sitsika, which means a small holy day. A small or a it seems like, you know, they're preparing for the holy day the next day. So they call it Inakatuyikisugo, a small holy day. So think about the days of the week here in China. Natuyikisugo, Sunday. Monday is Sikatuyikisugo, church, right? Again, the church. And then, of course, the rashing day. I mean, Wednesday, the Dawano Ksukib. And how do we know that? Well, the ancient agents of that probably say, well, Wednesdays is not a very good time for you to go to town, anyways, because the stores are closed, right? And how do we know that? Well, our news and that is probably from the ancient agent, what's happening within the surrounding areas of that. It was outlawed, right? Thursday, again, it was ancient agent here. Is Tsenakistiko or Igatastino. So the ancient agents in that were very responsible for that, right? So we had to go get our rations and that. We get our meats, we get our little commodities. If there's something that indigenous people really had to adapt to, not only the systems of governments that were established, the systems of police, the judicial, the police systems, the court systems and that, everything in that, the government systems in that, we also had to adjust and adapt to this new diet, right? We never had sugar in our diets. We never had salt in our diets, right? And then we never had poultry, in the sense we ate the kitoki, but not, the kawaki, right? So they started introducing new foods, right? New liquids, siksikimi, tea, coffee, right? And they started introducing sugars into our diets and that in the form of juices, right? And then, of course, another meat that was introduced into the communities was pork. Pork was never part of our diet. And that. So over thousands of years in that, the metabolism of the indigenous people in that was, of course, foremost was the ini, right? And then the plants that we ate at that time, we had wild matsi. Matsi are turnips, wild turnips, matsi. So that was part of our diet. So we had wild strawberries, misikapas. That was some of our sweetness in that. Of course, mini and pakki, right? Part of our calendar moons in that. The mini, okonoki, berries, pakki, the choke cherries. Those were all replaced by processed sugar, all right? Sugars and salts and pork. And the meat that we eat now, of course, is from the cow, right? Skin. So, like those days and that were strong influence on us. Everybody went to go get their ration. Thursday, it was very influential what was happening, ancient agents and that. Friday, we go back to the residential school, the churches influenced our days of the week. Mamikisiku, churches and that they ate on Friday. Saturday, day before the holy day. 7 days. These 3 days are devoted to, of course, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to the churches. Thursday, Friday. Well, Thursday is the Indian agents, and these 2 days are the churches again. So out of the 7 days, only 1 day or 2 days are not church influenced here in China. Okay, lots and lots of when you start to look at the language of the First Nations, you start to look at through the community, like the speaker's eyes, and how they adapted, and how they they were able to. Okay, this is Monday. What do we call this? Oh, okay, it's the day after yesterday, after the holy day. We don't have to go to church, right? Well, okay, it's a rest day after church tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Oh, we don't have to go to church now. 2-day rest. And then Wednesday, so we can't go to town tomorrow because everything's going to be closed by the time we want to go to town, right? This whole process, probably some red tape for the Indian agent allows you to go to town. So, that was something. Thursday, oh, okay, it's tonight. Let's go get our rations. oh my goodness, I can't seem to digest that spaghetti that they're giving us in that. I can't seem to digest that pork, the bacon. It's really greasy, you know. So those, you know, all those things are that we have to eat from the ancient agents that were introduced to us in that. You know, you can imagine though, some of the old folks and that having to do with that from the buffalo to now processed foods called spaghetti, macaroni, bread, you know. Oh, I love bread. That's my weakness, not by you. I love bread. Especially French bread. Anyways, yeah. So, you know, wheat products, right? Especially the, you know, the flour, you know, those are all the things that we have to adapt to. And that. And when, you know, when they say Ian and Nadine, we're never going to have a traditional meal day, you know, the days of in school and that. What are we going to have for our traditional meal? Fried bread. Fried bread's not, it's not our traditional food. And I don't know how it became our traditional food because, you know, the whole concept of flour is new and bread is new. So we've never had bread. So I don't know how it became a tradition. So it's not a traditional Blackfoot food and that, but we love our fried bread, eh? Dip it into your that soup, berry soup. You don't use a spoon, you use your bread. And that's how you eat berry soup. If you ever get a berry soup there, Larissa, Gabriel, grab a fried bread, throw away your spoon, and just dip it into the thing and then scoop up the berries. And that's how you eat fried bread, with the berries in it, right? But today they just take the fried bread, it's except with salt. I don't eat fried bread, by the way. So the Saturday for the three groups, all influenced by the, of course, the churches and the Indian agents, right? If I'm a Picani, Saturday comes around, oh, this is when we get to go buy. Let's go to town and we have unlimited amount of stuff we can buy. And then whereas in Gaida, it's a guy inak which means a small Sunday. So they must have been preparing the, you know, the communities that, hey, tomorrow is a big day. It's going to be the holy day. So let's prepare yourselves and that, you know, because tomorrow you have to go to church and do festivities surrounding the church. So, days of the week. I like to know what Picani, Scotty Picani, what they are, you know, because they're an American. Their system of government, of course, is an American government, right? Not like Canada. The loyalists of old, you know, when they had the American Revolution, they were fighting over the country and stuff like that. The loyalists wanted to remain in Canada, the English loyalists. They wanted to continue flying the flag of the monarchy. The Americans, of course, they chased out, you know, the English. They wanted to be independent in that. So Montana, their government would be, of course, an American government, but a lot of influence in their systems and that are the governors within each of the states and that, right? So Montana, their days of the week will be based not only, but they have residential schools, but they call them boarding schools. Okay, same kind of systems that what we have. They call them boarding schools. So I like to know their days of the week. You know, if anybody else there knows them. So anybody listening it, Browning, I'm Scott Picani. What are your days of the week? I sure like to know that. You know, each community, you know, just sharing my you know, some of my knowledge to Sam over here. 57 indigenous languages, just right here in Canada, from the BC coast all the way down to the Maritimes. There are 57 distinct languages, right? So I would say that each of these communities, based on the influences of their community, whether it be the church or the Indian agent, right? They would have their own days of the week. And it would be pretty interesting at what they would come up with, right? The largest community groups, of course, we're the largest Indian reserve in that, but they're the largest of all the 57 groups are the Cree. There are, from my last, there's over 300,000 Crees, and their language is going to be strong just because of the sheer numbers. You have the Woodland Cree, right? you have the Plains Cree, and then in Quebec, they have what they call the Quebec Cree, right? And they themselves speak the language of the Cree, but probably a different dialect. Because I once spoke to a person I went to school with at the university. He says, "Do you guys understand the Quebec Cree?" He says, "Well, I haven't really met a person from Quebec." The Woodland Cree and the Plains Cree are the same people, right? Their Cree is exactly the same, but how he was explaining it to me is that Plains Cree is a very slow language. When they speak the language, and it's kind of like it flows in a sense like that, right? The Woodland Cree is very, it's very fast in that, right? But it's the same language in that, but it's just a little bit faster the way they pronounce their words, eh? No, but you can understand each other. So yeah, well, that's just it. They probably have their own days of the week up north too. I really like to, when you visit these communities and that, you like to say, okay, how do you say this word? How do you say white man? Anybody know what the word for the white man is? Each community. Cree, their word for white man is Munias. Yeah, Munias. That's our Napikon is their Munias. I was gonna ask, what does that mean? There must be like the Napikons, of course, we have, we describe them as being Napi, right? They're behaving like how Napi would behave. That's why we call them Napi. So Munias in their language, and that it's an interpretation of the culture that they see, right? Might have been Anthony Henday. So, anyways, each of the days of the week, and that, of course, similarities, a little bit different than that, but understand who made these influences, and that, right? Who are the influencers in our days of the week? Churches. And of course, the ancient agents, the one who keep the ration day. Each of the communities has a ration day, or used to be ration day. Okay. And of course, the ancient agents, of course, on your weekends, we're supposed to be resting. Well, you can't rest because tomorrow is going to be the holy day, Saturday. But today, Monday, work, Tuesday, work, Wednesday, work, Thursday, work, Friday, payday, Saturday, rest, Sunday, rest, and that, right? We've really adapted to that, but we need to know the language and how we describe those words. What was happening in those communities, right? What was happening? How did they adapt from a Monday to Sunday days of the week? Well, we have to adapt to these things and that, right? It is the world that we live in now. So we have to make sense of this new system. We have to give definition because we're going to live in that system now, right? We are part of the society as a whole, right? Yeah.
Do you have any coffee?
Coffee? Oh no, we just have water.
Okay.
Hey, Mia, get me a coffee. Larissa, anybody near it? No, just kidding. Yeah. So, even the word coffee, we have to make a new word for that, right? Tea, anything that we drink other than water, and of course the herbal teas and that we have to give names to. So think of what's out there: pop, juices, tea, coffee, all those things have to be given a term because now they're a part of our diet. And that it's really important to know the non-indigenous animals because that's what we eat now, right? And the imita seems to be part of the culture of the newcomers and that. Everybody has an imita, everybody has a puss, right? Now where did Ian go? Come back. Well, anyways, so all these new terms, all these new ideas and that, we have to make definition of them, and we have to make words for them, our own, so that we ourselves and that we can operate within those days, right? Monday, we have to rest. Okay, so Monday we don't have to go to church. 2 days after the holiday, a lot of the things are real central to the churches and the ancient agents. Okay, Everybody got your pens? I am going to show you where are we?
About the seasons.
The seasons. The seasons in the sun. If you're like me, we live in southern Alberta, and this happens all the time here. When it's windy here in southern Alberta, or in your area, you say esupu. Esupu. Okay? Now understand that this is the right here. Supu is the suffix of esupu. Okay? Supu is wind. Okay? Esupu is windy. Like right now, it's current. Esupu. Okay? When it's cold, stuisupu. Okay? When there's a Chinook, esik supu. Okay? Supu is the root word of that. And I'm gonna give you all those words when it's gonna tomorrow when it's gonna blow, the meteorologists and that they seem to know that the wind, they even know, how fast and how strong it's gonna be. So Apinakos ak supu. Ak. Yesterday was windy, so it's a past tense, right? Isupu. I want to get these words to you in that on my next time I come next week. I'll have them all down. It's current, past, and future. Okay, and then the different kind of winds. It's a cold wind. It's a Chinook wind. So we have words for those,
What
right?
about istoyeme?
What's that?
Istoyeme.
Stoyimi?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold. Cold wind. Stoyi. Okay. So esupu is blowing. Aksupu will blow. Isupu was blowing, right? Right now, as we speak, stuisupu, right? Stui is cold, right? Which is part of our seasons, right? Stuisupu. So that's our first word for weather. Weather. If you look at it really careful, let's see, where is can you see it now? Where it says windy? Can you see it? Weather reporting?
I have to pull back just a little bit, Julius.
Okay, this way.
Pull like towards you a little bit, and we'll focus.
Is this blurry? Because on my screen it's pretty good.
It's blurry.
Can you see it now, Ian?
It's a little bit blurry.
So when it's windy, you say esupu. It was windy. Esupu. E. Remember the two eyes? You put two eyes together to make a long E sound. Can you see them? Is it focused now? Ian, no? Because on my screen it seems to be pretty good. If I go back this way, can you see them now? This way? That one?
It's still too pixelated for me.
You can't really see it, right? You know what? That's why we have this. When I first started teaching years ago, I used to use a chalkboard. That was years ago. That was, just like, I used to teach Blackfoot to our community at the college here. And at the Lethbridge College. It was called Lethbridge Community College one time. Okay, so the root word is supu, which is literally wind. Okay, by itself, can you see it, or is there like a glare? Ian, can you see that? Can you see it now? Yeah. Everybody give me a thumbs up. Good. Ian? Good. Gabriel? Ready? Okay, Supu. Now, this is your prefix for is. Okay, the context is is. Supu. So is windy. Is windy. Okay? Supu. So right now, as we speak, current is windy. Supu. Lethbridge, Alberta, Supu. Over in Kimberley, British Columbia, Supu. Medicine Hat, Alberta, Supu. And in Australia, over the news, I heard Supu. Okay? Now understand, the wind, we're talking about wind here in southern Alberta. We don't have a word for hurricane. Why? Because hurricanes don't occur here. There's never, you know, like it's something there's something that doesn't happen here, a hurricane. Now there is a word for a tornado, because you know they're rare, but they do happen here in southern Alberta. So you know those kind of winds, we just don't have words that are common, right? I bet you the people who are living in the, you know, in the Miami area, the Miami Indians, they themselves probably have a word for hurricane, right? Because that's something that would happen in their area. Okay, so now this is the, now understand, this is the prefix that's now. Ak is a future tense. Future. Ak. Okay, it's a future tense. Then you say aksupu. Okay, and it's will be windy. Okay, it will be windy. So tomorrow, which is so in English, you'll say, well, tomorrow it will be windy. But in Blackfoot, that is a tongue twister, eh? So the ak right here indicates a future tense. Okay, future tense. So aksupu, right? Just make a mental note of the, because there is a pattern in the a, and the ak. They're going to come up later. Okay, they're going to come up later in our vocabulary, but that seems to be a pattern right there. Just make a mental note. Okay, current, future. So there must be a past. Okay, so this is your past. Two eyes. Supu. Supu. So yesterday was matuni. Matuni is supu natuikisiku. Matuni natuikisiku is supu. So in a sense, past is was windy. Huh? And that's it. Our three current windy. Supu is always going to be by itself. Supu just means wind, right? There's no context. You would have to add a prefix to make supu a something like a happening, right? As supu is windy, was windy, and will be windy, right? Supu by itself is just wind. Ah, you're a supu. You're a wind. Right? Okay, got it? Ian, Larissa, good, Sugapi. Where's my eraser? Okay, let's move on to the next one. And this is my favorite time of the year. Yeah. Kind of get it tight in here. So our next one is going to be Suta. So Suta, Soota, is your root word.
Okay, by itself, just like that, sutta, it just means rain. Okay, sutta. I'm gonna put it up here. I don't have to erase this part over here. Where's my eraser? Right here. Joseph, right here. Can't reach it. I'm not an octopus. I can't reach around. Am I assistant here? Okay, so I'm gonna leave these tense words, prefix tense words right here. Okay, they're all gonna be the same. They're all gonna be the same as what we're just looking at. So right here, we're gonna change this to rain. Sutta. Okay, and this is called rain. By itself, it's just rain. Sutta. That's your root word. So, a sutta is raining. Now, do you remember Misampsutam? Misampsutam? What calendar moon is that? You remember? Don't look at your notes.
I think it's June long rains.
Yes, June. June is our long rain. Now, Misampsuta. Misam means long, right? Misampsuta. So Aksuta is will rain. So Apinakus tomorrow, Aksuta, which is correct. Did you know in Mukitstis, Calgary, Apinakus, it is gonna rain. Ain't that something? Rain. Will rain. There's always something too. You know how the meteorologists now they can predict the weather up to 7 days, right? And we talked about how the beaver just stucky and that predicts our winters. Okay. There must have been some kind of animals, somebody who would study the animals and that to sort of, there's going to be some bad weather coming in that, right? And I think it's by observing some of the animals, particularly the horses now, they seem to be common in that. Just before a storm, especially a thunderstorm, the horses themselves would behave in a certain way that you would know that there's inclement weather coming when the comet does, right? So, Aksuta, and then in the future, of course, Sutta. Match rained. It rained. Sutta. Did you see the pattern? Very easy. A, Ak, and E. Okay. Current, future, and past. E. Let's make a mental note of those. Those things are going to be coming up too as we progress into the language and that. And this is one of my favorite weathers too. I love the rain. Now this one here is a little bit different from the other ones of that. Okay. Righty. Let me just I want to erase this part and this part only. What's happening here is, can you see that? Let me move it this way, but I can't stretch out. Okay, so Pota, Potaa is just snow. Pota, falling snow. Okay, snow in the sense that it's on the ground is gu. Okay, when it's falling like this is Pota. Okay. Anything that's falling from the sky that's snow is called Putta. Okay. Now, this is going to be a little bit different here, though. So I want to erase this right here. And this is its current tense. And you say it like this. Oh. Say oh.
Oh,
Oh. Everybody. Oh.
oh,
Oh. Oh. And then, of course,
Oh.
Putta. Okay, so puta is falling snow. Okay, it's not the word for snow, but it's falling snow. Oh, puta. So right now, as we speak, oh, puta. Okay, you say what's happening outside? Because oh, puta. And you wake up in the morning, right? You wake up in the morning and that, and if something's happening, the meteorologist will say, well, Thursday, you get this to know Thursday here. I do believe. With that. Now this is here we have to put that glottal, I mean that guttural. With that. But again, we still have that right? The AKK in there. We just added the OH. With that. So, Pinakas, or Mami Friday it will snow. Or this Friday, this coming Saturday. You know, so these things and that we know them all in advance because of the radios, the technologies that we have. You have that weather app, right? Well, back in the days of the buffalo and that, you know, there's very, very unpredictable, you know, the weather, you know, especially if you're going out into the wilderness. The Bunacomita is one of the most reliable animals that they would have in their possession of that because they would know their way back home to their camps by just letting them go. And they would actually, in the dark and that, they would go right back to their camps. And when they get back home and that, they would stop. And Bunacomita did exactly that. I've heard of stories of some of the warriors who would afar on their way back, you know, they wouldn't rest and that they would sleep right on their horses and then they would go, oh, puta or esuta, you know, and the horses would just keep going until they got to their camps and that, until the morning, or maybe they'll stop if there's inclement danger ahead. You know, those horses were quite smart back in the day. So now this one here, past tense, of course, this is now. This is will snow, okay? Will snow. Apinakus akuputa tomorrow. Future tense, ich. Gotta put that guttural. Ich puta. Ich puta. Okay? And this is it snowed. There's some mornings in that when you wake up to go warm up the vehicle in December, January. The blanket of snow is on the ground already. Oh, last night ich puta, matuni ich puta, right? You already know that, you know, it's snowed ich puta. Or if you're going into Montana, and there seems to be, if you ever travel through that, there seems to be this 49th parallel, right? But there's a weather pattern over there. It could be really nice here in Canada, but the moment you go into the, you know, the into Montana, the weather pattern just changed. It could be snowing over there, then we come over here in southern Alberta, the sun's out and it's dry. So it's, oh, ich puta. Oh, okay, yeah, it snowed. Ich puta. Got it, everybody? 3 weather patterns. And of course, winter has the cold wind. And of course, the weather patterns here in southern Alberta changes 1 hour to the next, they figure.
I heard it's supposed to be 17 tomorrow.
Oh, no, it's gonna rain on Thursday, and I've never actually, oh, it's just kind of a weird weather pattern we're having in that, because, you know, we were talking about our calendar moons. March being Saekitsu, you know, the moon of the duck, right? Well, we seem to have ducks now And we have ducks right now as we speak that are still here. That should have been gone, right? They should have gone to migrate. And it's really weird that that's happened. Okay. Our last one before we conclude our weather reporting is this one. Itamixistiku. Itamixistiku. Xistiku is the suffix of the word. Itam it's nice. Itamixistiku. It's a nice day. Itamixistiku. Okay, so the xistiku over at the end is your suffix sound. Itami, it's a nice day, right? Itamixistiku. And that could be another greeting. Oh, okay. Itamixistiku. Oh, yeah, itamixistiku. It's a nice day. Now, here is your test. If tomorrow is going to be a nice day, how would you say that? Tomorrow.
Mm,
What do you think it would be? What's our prefix for future tense?
Ah,
Ak.
tomato.
Itamixistiku. So if it's going to be a nice day tomorrow, you'll say like this. Ak. E. And then of course the word. Da. Me. And ixistiku. Oh, long word. Akitamixistiku. So ak is future tense, will be. So ang pinakos, omoktistu kisikatuwikisikokpi, akitamixistiku. Now yesterday was a nice day. How would you say that? Double I's.
E.
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 Iki.
Ai, que.
Mixistico. Ikita.
Que.
Ikita. Mixistico. And I promised you guys some Christmas carols. Next week, I want to learn you. That's what I used to say. You know, I don't teach you, I learn you. So I want to teach you and learn you 2 Christmas carols. Here's one. It's Papiku Goo, Natuyiku Goo, Ganets Papi, Ganet Ganatsi, Amuyok Natuyi Mary. Amuyok Natuyi Sitziman. Natuins papi yukan. Natuins papi yukan. What song is that?
Silent Night.
Hee-haw! Setsikdam, ape setsikdam. Ikekdam api estikonisto.
Jingle bells.
Yeah.
Jingle bells.
Jingle bell, yeah. You know those songs are quite popular. Well, we have several songs that we interpreted into Blackfoot. Of course, you know, we need to. Did you know? Personally, I know the person who composed "O Canada" into Blackfoot. Her name is Celestine Manybears, and her and I were colleagues for years and years as teachers. And he composed and translated "O Canada" into Blackfoot. And then on Saturday, Ian, if you watched the Calgary Flames, they had an Indigenous night. They had an Indigenous night at the Calgary Flames game. And there was a lady that sang "O Canada" in Blackfoot. And, you know, that could be something that, in the near future, I could teach you all "O Canada" in Blackfoot. Entirely in Blackfoot. Yeah, so. And we'll we'll get the words right so that we're not, you know. So anyways, any questions? We got 5 minutes. Just going back to our days of the week, our calendar moons, our animals, anything like that. Now it's always important because everything has a pattern. We need to know the genders of the people in that. We need to know who are the people that speak Blackfoot, right? Because it's a very distinct language that only 4 groups of people speak. There's no other language in Canada like it, and no other language in the world. Just these people right here in southern Alberta speak Black. It's very unique in a sense that, and nobody would acknowledge this, but during the World Wars, particularly World War I and II, they used native languages as their way of communicating, so that, you know, the Allied forces of World War I, they couldn't interpret, you know, those indigenous languages and that, because it's nothing they've ever heard. You know, the Allies, and in World War II, they're the Germans, and that, of course, tried to, you know, intercept some of the, you know, the English, and they couldn't, because they had Navajo code talkers. There's nobody else in the world that speaks Navajo. And I told you a story of 2 individuals that were in World War II, were from the Blood Reserve Guyana, that code talked each other around the, you know, the enemy forces that were the Germans. So our language, in a sense, nobody else speaks it. Very unique. It is from right here, the indigenous. It describes where we live, right? So it's important that we know these animals. And it's important to know that, how did we come up with these days of the week? Who were influenced us? What was happening during those times, right? Why do we have Natuikas? Well, it was very central to the, you know, the early societies that were. If you didn't go to church in my days, and that they would, yeah, you know, Inaki going to grab you and put you in jail. If you didn't have a permit, then that on a Wednesday, you'd still be thrown in jail, you know. So we need to know these things, and that, because if you really wanted to know the people, the indigenous people, look at their language, how they describe things, because that's how we view the world, and that, right? You know, I'll say it outright. What's happening right now in Israel and the Palestinians, and that, they've been warring for not just recent, and that, it's been hundreds of years in that. And, you know, somebody had said, well, why is it that the indigenous people and that are not so upset over the governance and that? Well, it's within our language. We have values within our language and that keep us, you know, together as a community, as a society, peaceful living. We had Gimmapipitsen, Ennagutis, and Espamutis, and those values, and that kept the, you know, these communities that were in teepees and that, to say, well, you know, like, never in our language do we have such words as revolution, overthrow. It's not in our language, and that we have a different society of words that kept our communal living very, you know, peaceful, right? There was never in our history where one group went to another group and annihilated them, right? We don't even have words for enemy. There's no such words for that. So how can you have a society that doesn't have the word enemy or even war, right, within our language, right? So, you know, it's an influencer. The people that speak those languages, that live the language. Huh? That makes sense? So Gapi? So the days of the week and that, right? Those are the interpretations. That's what we visualize. That's what we see in our communities today. So we call them as accordingly. Sunday, Natuikiskis, and so forth, right? But we do have wind. We don't have hurricanes, but we do have winds. We have cold winds. And there's also a wind right here in southern Alberta. There's no other wind like it anywhere in the world. And you call it Chinook. We call it Siksipu. Siksipu. Which means the prefix is 6. Then, of course, Supu. So Siksipu is your warm wind, right? it seems like it's a wind that's kind of like it's covering the snow. It's a warm wind. So oxyxable, asixable, esixable. Do you see the pattern? Okay. Will, is, and will be, or was. So everybody, hee-haw. Next week, put on your vocal cords, Ian, Gabriel, Nadine, Larissa. We're gonna sing a Christmas, and we'll try to sing it all together. Okay? I know it's kind of Nadine. Is Cam still over at the Safeway? No, he's not the music teacher over there. Because he was asking me about these songs, and I sang them into his phone. Silent Night, Jingle Bells, and Santa Claus is coming to town too. Iskatake, minatasenit, minatsinixit, kitawanis, napiakuts. Which one's that? Santa Claus is coming to town. Yeah. So we'll have 3, and we'll have a concert. We'll have a tour. And we're all indigenous, eh? We're not pretending, eh? We can maybe win an award.
Speaking of music, Julius, so yesterday's Spotify Rap and Apple Music and everything came out. I didn't know before we virtually met here that you were with a Blackfoot crossing, but you were my number 11 contest song 1.
Yeah, yeah.
But number 11 on. So I hope you made a good 12 cents off of that.
Yeah, if you look into the YouTube, or even if you go to if you're part of Apple Music, if you subscribe, there are 4 albums of Blackfoot Confederacy that I'm part of.
Oh, it was Blackfoot Confederacy. Never mind.
Yeah.
I take it back. Not you.
Yeah, that's me. And yeah,
I
Blackfoot
thought it was
Crossing
Blackfoot
was way back in
Crossing.
1980, in the 80s. Blackfoot Crossing.
Oh,
way
you were
back in the 80s. I'm not
Onion
sure
Lake
if you
Powwow.
guys were around.
From Onion Lake Powwow, contest song 1, apparently.
Yeah, and I'm the lead singer, by the way. All the lead singer kind of leads the song. Everybody jumps in, right? Well, I did most of the leads. Very important man in the powwow. Yeah. Sam and
Kara,
okay, we'll see you
the 11th.
next week. We're gonna have classes now till the 18th, and then we'll break for till January.
How do you say see you in Blackfoot? How do you say bye-bye?
Gedamatsin.
Get
Gedamatsin.
Not your name,
What's that?
your name,
Julius.
Julius.
Orange Julius.
Good night, guys.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Gedamatsin. No, the proper way of saying that it's Gedamatsin. It's almost like a hey, see y'all, or hey, what's up? You say Gedamatsin. Gedamatsin. Or Hitakidamatsin. That's the proper, and what they did is they kind of made it so that it's easy to say Gedamatsin. It means Hitakidamatsin. We will see you again. Hitakidamatsin. That's the proper way to say this and that, right? And there's some other ones too. I want to really stress on is that when you say my name is, some people say Nitaniku. It's another slang. The proper terminology is my name is Nitsinskasim. That's how you say it. Nitsinskasim Julius. My last name, Nitokbenchkaku. I'm called after my name, Delaney. So Nitsinskasim Julius. Nitokbenchkaku, that means I called after my name, Delaney. And we'll do those and that. And they don't do Gana, right? That's where I'm from. And there's another word, Nitsitukui. I live Nitsitukui, right? That we'll do all those things and that. We're going to take turns, and I want you to tell me your name, your last name, where you live, where you're from. Okay. You know how they when they were saying land, okay? Land is Ksachku, right? I live in the land of the bloods, right? There's another word that we use, nitox, and this is our living area, nitox, which means the area that I live in provides my three basic needs. It provides me with food, shelter, and of course clothing. Nitox. That's an old Blackfoot word. So this whole area, the Blackfoot Confederacy that they call the land base, Medicine Hat, to say, oh, nitox, and this is the area that provided me with my necessities. And then, of course, so and it's this is my land, right? Well, in a sense, yeah, it doesn't really say anything, but if you say nitox, it really means a lot more because this area did provide us with our basic necessities, right? Thirsty, drink right out of the river. How many rivers are there in southern Alberta? Lots, right? One of the biggest rivers, South Saskatchewan, the Bow, and the smaller rivers, of course, Belly, the Milk River, and so forth, and that, right? But yeah, nitox, which is an old Blackfoot word. Now, if you're looking into it, oxen is food. Nitoxen is, the area that we occupy, right? The Lethbridge. Think of Lethbridge. Nitoxen. It's got McDonald's, it's got Burger King, KFC, Pizza Hut. Nitoxen, Lethbridge. I can never starve here because it provides for me right here, right? Stand up, oh my dogs, and I got BB Mart, they got Kinda Food Mart, they got what do they call that? Kinda, I just forget the mall area. But anyways, we do have a mall in Stand Up. You just have to be brave to go down there. So, kita matsinokpua. Kita matsinokpua, meaning I will see you guys later. And if now it seems like they all just say get a matsin. Okay, we'll see you. Take the matsin means that we'll see you later. Can you see that? Can you hear the ak in there? It's a future tense. So everybody, Merry Christmas. Do your shopping. Go visit Santa Claus. Give him your wish list. And then we'll see you all. You know what? It's been a really weird winter and that we should be having snow. We should have no animals as the ducks and the geese and that. It's been really, in a sense, the calendar moons and that they're not accurate as they were at one time and that, right? Even this cold month of November, we call it itots, the cold weather. Well, it didn't, right? I think I only wore my winter jacket maybe a couple times in that. December, yeah, it's long nights and that, but we should be having lots of snow as well too. So our calendar moons, there's something happening within our environment and that. So yeah, just look at how the moons are not accurate and that. Saaki assume is in January, but March. But here they are. They're still here. So everybody, enjoy your evening. I'm gonna go watch hockey and Monday Night Football. Oh, I gotta shut this off somehow, and we'll see you all. Are we right there? End.